The death of Mr. Godwin left more than an empty chair at the dining table. It tore the family's balance apart. Mrs. Roseline, now the sole head of the house, began to rule with an iron fist sharpened by bitterness. She loved only one of her daughters, and her love was as reckless as her lifestyle. Chioma, the younger, drank from her mother's cup of approval. Her life became a revolving door of men, gifts, and late-night parties. At only 19, she already had the curves of a woman and the boldness of someone twice her age. She began to chase sponsors, older men with fat wallets who were willing to pay for her beauty. Roseline encouraged it, even celebrated it. When Chioma returned home with bundles of cash, new clothes, or glittering jewelry, her mother's eyes would soften, and she would say with pride, "That's my daughter. She knows how to live life," Mrs. Roseline said proudly. Chidera, on the other hand, lived in another world entirely. She refused to follow her mother's ways. Her body, she believed, was sacred, not merchandise. Her beauty was natural, being a tall, graceful frame, dark glowing skin, and hair so long and thick it flowed like a river down her back. People often stopped in their tracks to admire her, market women, neighbors, even strangers. But to Roseline, that beauty was wasted if it didn't bring money. One evening, Roseline sat in the parlor with Chioma. The sweet scent of Chioma's imported perfume filled the air, and the mother laughed as she counted the money Chioma had brought home. Chidera walked in quietly, holding a tray of food. She set it down, only for her mother to shove it aside. "Look at your sister. Do you see how she provides? And you're nothing but a shadow in this house. A fine face with nothing to show for it." Roseline said, her voice sharp. Chidera's chest tightened, but she said nothing. She had learned that silence was safer than speaking. The neighbors began to notice the difference. Gossip spread like harmattan fire. Some pitied Chidera, while others mocked her. In the compound, whispers followed her like shadows. "She thinks she's better than her mother and sister. See her long hair. If she had sense, she would use it to catch a rich man." Chidera endured it all, carrying herself with quiet dignity. At night, when her mother and sister entertained men, she would retreat to her small corner, burying herself in books and dreams. She wanted more from life, an education, a future, a chance to escape the cage her mother had built. But Roseline made her life unbearable. She withheld food, chores were doubled, and words sharper than knives cut Chidera daily. The reason was clear. Roseline despised her because she refused to conform. Yet destiny has a way of shaping lives through fire. What looked like weakness in Chidera would one day become her greatest strength. For even in the darkest nights of rejection, she held on to her light, one that neither her mother's cruelty nor her sister's reckless choices could extinguish. Time passed like a restless river. In their small home, Chioma's glittering life continued. Sugar daddies and flashy cars, nights filled with perfumes and loud music, mornings with hangovers and money spread across her bed. Roseline basked in it, as though Chioma's reckless living was proof that her own sacrifices had not been in vain. But even the fiercest women grow weary of loneliness. Roseline had begun to crave something more permanent than lovers who came and went. She wanted a man who would secure her place in society again, a man with money, youth, and status. And when she met Chief Edwin, she believed her prayers had been answered. Chief Edwin was younger than Roseline by a few years, yet he carried himself with the confidence of a man who had conquered life. His belly was round with wealth, his laughter deep and commanding, and his wallet thick enough to silence whispers. He drove cars that turned heads and wore badges stitched from fabrics so rich they shimmered on the sun. To the villagers, he was a man of power. To Roseline, he was her ticket to a new beginning. Their marriage was quick and extravagant. Neighbors lined the streets to watch as Roseline, draped in gold lace, danced beside her new husband. Chioma shone like a peacock, boasting to anyone who cared to listen that her mother had found love again. But in the midst of the celebration, Chidera stood quietly at the back, her heart heavy. She knew that behind the fanfare, her mother's love for her would not change. Yet fate works in mysterious ways. Chief Edwin noticed Chidera almost immediately, not in the way men noticed Chioma with hungry eyes, but with a kind of respect. He saw in her a dignity that was rare, a quiet grace that needed no decoration. One evening, after dinner, he called Roseline aside. "Your eldest daughter, Chidera, she carries herself well. Tell me, what are her plans for the future?" Roseline scoffed. "That stubborn girl? She's too proud to follow her sister's path. All she does is sit with books. I don't know what she wants from life." Chief Edwin stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Then I will help her. A girl with that kind of discipline deserves a chance. I will sponsor her education. Let her go to school." Roseline was stunned. For the first time, someone had seen worth in the daughter she despised. She agreed reluctantly, but her heart burned with jealousy. Why Chidera? Why not Chioma, her jewel? And so, the door that had always been closed for Chidera began to open. With Edwin's support, she enrolled in the university to study law. It was a dream she had carried silently, one she never believed possible. As she packed her bags, her mother's eyes stayed cold, and Chioma's lips curled with disdain. "Don't think books will feed you. When your beauty fades, you'll see who's wise," Chioma sneered. Chidera smiled faintly, her long hair tied back, her books pressed against her chest. She said nothing, for she knew deep down that her journey had just begun. The university became a sanctuary for Chidera, a world far removed from her mother's sharp tongue and Chioma's reckless laughter. Here, she walked across wide campuses with books in her hands and determination in her heart. Her professors marveled at her sharp mind. Her classmates admired her grace, though some envied her discipline. She wasn't just another student. She was a star in the making, destined for something greater. While her peers partied late into the night, Chidera spent her evenings under the warm glow of a desk lamp, highlighting legal texts and drafting essays that always came back marked with excellent. She was focused, driven by the silent promise she had made to herself that she would never let her father's death and her mother's cruelty be in vain. Chief Edwin kept his word, paying her tuition and offering quiet encouragement, though Roseline never showed it. A deep resentment grew inside her. Each time she watched Chidera's reports of success, it felt like salt rubbed into an open wound. She wanted Chioma to be the jewel of the family, yet it was the daughter she despised who was bringing pride. Chioma, meanwhile, was sinking deeper into the world her mother praised. Her body had become her currency, and she used it lavishly. Trips to Dubai with sugar daddies, luxury handbag, and expensive wigs. Chioma lived for thrill. She underwent surgeries, enhancing her body with a BBL and liposuction, sculpting herself into what men desired. Money poured in, but so did whispers. People in the community began to talk, their envy laced with ridicule. Her beauty is not natural, some said. She buys her body in another land. Others laughed, but Chioma didn't care. She bathed herself in perfumes and posted glamorous photos on social media, painting a life of wealth and success. Yet beneath the glitter, cracks were forming. Her health grew fragile. She often returned from her escapades with unexplained fevers, stomach pains, and fatigue. At first, she dismissed it as small sickness, but the warnings of her body were becoming louder. One afternoon, as Roseline bragged in the market about her younger daughter's connections, news came of Chidera's academic achievements. She had just been named the best graduating student in her law faculty. The compound buzzed with excitement, praising her brilliance. Chief Edwin's money did not go to waste, one relative said. "That girl will be a great lawyer." Another added. Roseline's face twisted in anger. She forced a smile, but in her heart, jealousy boiled like oil in a pot. That night, she confronted Chidera. "Don't think because you go to school, you are better than us. Without Edwin's money, you would be nothing. Remember that," she hissed. Chidera looked at her mother, her eyes soft but firm. "I will never forget, but I will also never stop trying to make something of my life, even if you hate me for it." In that moment, two roads stretched clearly apart, one paved with discipline, sacrifice, and honor, the other with glittering lies, wealth without peace, and pleasures that carried a hidden cost. And though Roseline still clung to Chioma as her pride, the world was already beginning to see who the true star of the family was. Life has a way of revealing the truth no matter how long shadows try to hide it. For years, Chioma had lived a life wrapped in silk and gold, funded by men who saw her as nothing more than a body for hire. But pleasure has a price, and one day, the bill came due. It began with a strange smell. At first, Roseline thought it was something in the house, like a dead rat in the ceiling, perhaps. But soon, the odor followed Chioma wherever she went. No amount of perfume or expensive soaps could hide it. Her friends started to keep their distance. Even her sugar daddy stopped calling. "Chioma, what is this? How did you suddenly develop this smell?" Roseline demanded one morning, her nose wrinkling. But Chioma only wept, clutching her stomach in pain. Her once perfect body was betraying her. The BBL surgeries that had made her the envy of other girls had begun to rot from within. Her skin darkened, her flesh grew tender, and sores oozed with pus. Maggots crawled in wounds that no doctor could fix. The vibrant, confident Chioma became a ghost of herself. She stopped going out, locking herself in her room for days, ashamed to face the world. The neighbors who once admired her beauty now whispered in pity. "That girl used her body too much. Vanity has destroyed her." Roseline was torn. For the first time, she saw the cracks in the daughter she had praised. She stayed by Chioma's side, cleaning her wounds, crying as the smell filled the house. But nothing helped. Chioma's screams in the night were like knives in Roseline's chest. And as the days passed, her strength faded until one morning, she did not wake. Chioma, the daughter Roseline had cherished above all, was gone. The news spread quickly. People shook their heads and whispered, "What a tragedy. Beauty wasted." Roseline wept like a woman who had lost not just a child, but also her pride, her identity, her companion in sin. She refused to eat, refused to leave the house. In her grief, her heart turned to the daughter she had despised. For years, she had pushed Chidera away, mocked her dignity, and treated her like an outcast. Now, when she had nothing left, her soul longed for the child who had chosen the right path. Roseline went to Chidera's office, where the young woman now worked as a brilliant lawyer. She found her daughter behind a polished desk, dressed in a neat black suit, her natural beauty glowing even more brightly with success. Falling to her knees, Roseline wept. "My daughter, forgive me. I was blind. I despised you when you were the one who carried light. I lost your sister because of my foolishness. Please, forgive me." Chidera rose slowly, tears welling in her eyes. She reached down, lifting her mother to her feet. "Mama, I forgave you long ago. I only prayed that one day you would see me not as a disappointment, but as your daughter." In that moment, Roseline sobbed into Chidera's embrace, her heart heavy but also lighter than it had been in years. For though she had lost one child to the darkness of her choices, she had found redemption in the arms of the one she had once rejected. And so the story ended not with wealth or beauty, but with forgiveness, the kind that heals even the deepest scars. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment.